Alright, ladies and gentlemen, got something a little bit different than my other videos for you today. We got a little bit of upgrade to the workshop area here at JAT Design, aka my basement living room. We're gonna do some upgrades to the filament storage system and get some rather large amount of space back that I really don't have to give up to begin with. And just kind of clean up the area, make it look a bit better with this simple design here. Thanks to Robert Cowen for the design and him posting it. I've been looking for a good solution for a while and just haven't come up with anything that will work in my space. I know a lot of people like to do the rep rack type system on their walls. And a bunch of these studios have tons of wall space that they can utilize to make that work. I don't have that luxury here, and I do rent, so I don't really want to be poking a bunch of holes in my walls, if I can talk here. So I wanted something that is going to be mobile, too easy to set up, easy to tear down, and not cause damage to any permanent structures in the process. So what he's designed is a 260 by 260 square that you then mount sliders into, and it is designed so you can use any length of slider you want, from a 12-inch, 16-inch, 20-inch, or 24-inch. So I chose some 24-inch sliders, and I've been working on improving my filament storage assembly. So what I'm going to show you is the assembly of one of his filament drawers and how it has changed my ability to keep track of filament. So the setup is actually really easy. It takes 8 printed pieces. The one build sheet I do on a 256 build plate, and it takes roughly 5 to 6 hours, roughly, fairly conservative settings. He recommends using ABS or ASA, and does not necessarily recommend PETG, but I have building it with PETG, and I have not necessarily had an issue so far. The reason he doesn't recommend PETG is the potential to buckle. So what I've done is just thicken the walls up to make it a little bit sturdier piece, and I loaded up the filament and have not had an issue. So the main 2 pieces are going to be the frame pieces. Now these have to be printed on a large platform machine. They are 260 millimeters by 260 millimeters. So they will not fit on any bamboo machine, and if you shrink it down, your roll of filament will not fit into this. So it's a pretty ingenious design, completely smooth on this side, and on the front side he has recessed these in. I know it's a little bit hard to see with white, so that when this drawer is assembled, it actually recesses in so that you can then run a faceplate on this and a handle, and it's smooth here, and only the handle sticks out. Very cool design, and it is the same front and back. So it is a mirrored piece, and if you break a piece or mess up a piece, all you have to do is reprint it, and you don't have to worry about it being a left or a right. The other nice thing, it is designed with chamfers and a lot of the screw holes, so it is designed to stack on each other and bolt together. And then as you go to the side, it is designed to do that also, strengthening, every more that you add onto this, strengthening your previous ones. So really cool design. The other pieces that you will have printed are going to be these pieces here. This here is the front piece. And he does have a faceplate design. He has a half plate design. I prefer the open design myself. And he does have a handle printed designed so that you can give it a nice pull. So that is that. This is the back piece to keep everything together in the back. And then these are the pieces for the rails that the filaments sit on. All pretty simple designs. I have been using 5 top and bottom layers and then 3 walls on everything and have not had an issue. I originally tried 2 walls and 10% infill. With these guys, I did bump it up to 20% infill and the 5 top and bottom and 3 walls. So, and it has been holding up quite well. If you push down, they're really, really sturdy pieces. The other things you're going to need for this are number 6 by 5/8 taper head, cone head screws with a flat top. And the other thing you're going to need is, they do not have to be self-drilling, but number 6 by 3/8 lengths. So I figured 3/8 at a local store was hard to find. A lot of stuff was 1/2 inch. So I initially tried a 1/2 inch and they were sticking out. So 3/8 definitely required. The other thing you will need is Schedule 40 1/2 inch PVC pipe. Now you can use conduit, etc., as long as it's the same outer dimensions as this. Pretty hefty wall. 10-foot piece of this was roughly $4.25 or something like that. And obviously you get 5 of these out of it. Pretty cheap to do. The next thing you will need is these rails. Now I chose to go with 24 inch, and they are soft close. They are very sturdy. They will hold plenty of weight. Because the thing to keep in mind, you do not want cheap rails on this, and this is also ties everything in the structure together. So these add a lot of rigidity to the overall structure itself. Now buying these individually was fairly expensive, like $36 a piece. If you buy them in a 10-pack, it makes it $139. It's roughly $14 here. You're gonna have about $1.50 to $2 per rack on this on average. And then for this here, it takes a little under a half a roll, about 450 grams or so, to do this. So 1 roll of filament will do 2 drawers. ELEGO has some great PETG, or if you're going to use ABS or ASA, just figure $20 a roll, so about $10. So overall, these drawers are about $25, $27, $28 per drawer to make. So it can be a little bit more expensive than other solutions, but overall it is going to be much more compact, much cleaner, and if you don't have a wall space to utilize, like I don't have much wall space here, I can actually utilize, because I do this in my basement and it is a rental property, so I don't want to poke a bunch of holes in my stuff. And I want something that I can easily decide I want to move this around. All I have to do is slide the drawer out or keep it together, pick it up and move it. It's a great mobile solution if you're the type that has to move stuff off or etc. So, alright, so what I like to start with is assembling the PVC pipes and the inner drawer slide assembly together. This here is designed quite well. It is a half moon open here, and then it is recessed in, so the pipes will actually kind of snap in. They are an extremely tight fit, which is very nice. And then there is also a hole in the bottom, so it's not just a press fit. You can actually locate it. So that kind of stops any of the torsion effect of the PVC wanting to bend outwards. It helps keep everything tighter together. So generally on this, I will lay the faceplate straight down, put this in, and then you kind of have to wiggle it back and forth to make sure you get slid past that. And then I always put all this red lettering to the inside, so it's less likely to see it from the outside. And the same on that one, until you hear it kind of click in. Then at that point, I will lay these down, and I will go ahead I use a little bit of drill for this one. PVC is nice to work with. If you're doing it by hand, I would recommend actually drilling a pilot hole into these. If you have a power tool, use that. I have this set clear down to 1 on my ratcheting head on the drill. Do not overdo this or you will break your printed parts. So no reason to overdo it. It does work very easy. Go ahead and lay down your other piece. Same deal there. And on these, I am using the number 6 by 5/8 long. The 3/8 will not work. And on these pieces, even a 1/2 inch would be too short to do the functionality that they are doing. So next, what I do here is flip it back over, put it on flat, make sure that you're square. Sometimes I have had it not be square, and I do have to go through and loosen one of these back up, which perfect example. I did that on this one. Didn't make sure I was square. So give it a little bit of a rotation. Put that back in. And there you go. So these are designed, you don't have to slide it in from the end. It is a half moon there shape, and it does clip right over the PVC. It snaps in real nicely. So I go ahead and do that on both sides, making sure that the 45 here faces outwards and lines up with that piece there. And these you want to use the insides, as the main part of the rail is built for the frames. And then the other thing you want to do, the flat part, make sure that is towards the front, like so. So on these, you also want to use the 5/8. And then I always start, there is multiple holes here. There's the single hole and then 2 adjuster holes. I always put my first one in the solid hole. That way it locates everything else together from that point. As I recommend with all my other videos, don't tighten it all the way until you get at least one of the other ones in there. So in this one I will go into the horizontal hole, because the vertical hole will not quite line everything up, but this one will. So at this point you can go ahead and tighten that first one up, and then put in the third one. So get all 3 in there, and then where you place these will not quite be where you want them. They do slide on the PVC quite easy, and you just line up that hole and ignore the center hole on these ones. At this point I go ahead and line up the second one while I'm doing it. And again, number 6 by 5/8 is plenty long for these. Alright, now that those are into place, you can go ahead and flip it over to the bottom again, and it does have locator pins on these too. Very important on these ones, as your shelf can still rotate without those. So make sure they're kind of in their natural little position. On these ones you can use the 1/2 inch or 5/8. If you have 1/2 inch, go ahead and use them. Otherwise the 5/8 are fine. Now my number 1 setting is getting too weak for this for some reason. The battery's getting a little low. So go ahead and tighten those in. And then that's basically the gist of this half. So I'm going to go ahead and speed this up, knock out the other side of this real quick, and then we'll get to the frames. Alright, now we're getting to the frame pieces. Now, the thing I like to do is set this up kind of how it's going to sit. Recessed in here, very important on the first one. Second one, it doesn't really matter near as much. I like to orient them both the exact same way, and they've been functioning well for me. So, first things first, grab one. They don't matter. It doesn't matter if it's top, bottom, it's the same either way. Just make sure that the slide out matches the same direction as the notch in the front. So I will generally slide the back in, and the back will go up quite a ways to the point where these are, the holes are here. And then slide the front in. That's a little bit more difficult to see here. Get those lined up. And as you slide this in, I'm trying to get it so you can see it on the camera, the end of the outer part meshes with the end of the recess here. And then I will generally go ahead and do both of them. That way the piece I am working on is just more rigid overall, and it's easier to move around in the process. So then what I'll do, lay it on one of its sides, and then I always do the back first as they are easier to locate, and then the number 6 by 3/8 are going to be important for all of these screws. These do not have to be taper head screws. They can be pan head, flat head, whatever you really want to use. And then also you cannot really use a drill for these ones because it's a little bit of a tight space. So I will use my handy screwdriver. If you have an electric one, that will work also, as long as it fits where you're trying to work. So on the back, it's just 2 screws, straight up and down. Nothing crazy, nothing hard to find. In the front though, these are a triple slide drawer. So you do have to stick it out and then move your bearing plate back past everything, and there should be a nice little slot right here where you can see the holes. And then you just line up your holes in your frame to the holes in that, and go ahead and drop that in. Now on these, if you really wanted, it is designed in such a way where if you want a third one of these frame pieces in the center, these are designed to have multiple slots where you can put these. So you could have 3 frames if you really want. It does not really improve anything necessarily unless you are going to start stacking more than 3 high. I know the original designer, Robert Cowen, on these, this is the setup he did, but he only did 2 high to fit in his 2-foot deep drawers or shelving units. So he did 2 high and 5 wide to put 10 on his deal. Now keep in mind, I am going 4 high. I only have 3 high right now loaded, and I don't have an issue with the bottom one, but I do have a small spacer. If I had a third one, it might make that bottom one a little bit better. We'll see how it goes when I get to 4, and I'll update the video down the road. Future me here to interrupt this video. So I finally got everything assembled and whatnot, complete, full of filament, etc. I have pretty much decided 3 is probably a good limit for using only 2 as far as using the 24-inch length goes. Now if you have a 18 or less, possibly 20. 2 would be completely fine. Unless you want to beef up those wall thicknesses some more, say if you're going 4 or 5 walls or a lot higher infill, it would also be fine. If you do want to continue to use the 3 walls like I did, if you're going 4 high or higher than that, say 5 or 6 high, I would definitely add in that third frame support for at least half of it. Obviously your top 2 or top 3 will not need it. My 4th one, the very bottom one, shows that it might down the road throw a little bit of weakness in. The other thing you can do, if you don't want to add that 3rd one, just go ahead and add like a wooden support or something like that to the outside of it. So screw from the inside out to that wood or metal bracing or whatever you want to use, just to keep those walls from bowing out. Again, I use PETG instead of ABS. Not necessarily having an issue, but I do see the bottom one bowing a little bit right now. So there is some solutions that you can do to not have that issue in your build or down the road. If it's something you want to deal with, then it's fine. If you're only building 3 high, it's completely fine. If you're only building 2 high, I wouldn't even worry about it at all. So anyway, back to the video. Thanks. But you can always add an extra reinforcement on the outside, and as I bolt my 2nd row to it, it will strengthen that 1st row also. But always an option. If you like to overbuild, you can also do that here. And as far as the frame pieces go, they are about 100 and I believe 40 grams per frame. They may not even be that much. So it's not like it's costing a whole lot if you do want to overbuild. You're not really out much. Alright, and that is the entire assembly of the whole setup. It's super nice. It's super compact. Like I say, this setup here, I don't have a ton of space up here, but this will fit 10 rolls of filament. What I'll go ahead and do is slide in my front. I might be able to do this on camera for you guys here. This is the back. And now with these double roller ones, you kind of got to be careful and make sure you're lining up those front bearings. And then slide it all the way back. It's going to take a little bit of force, nothing major the first time. And slide it all the way back. And then the other thing you have to do with these, because they are the triple extension, is slide it all the way back out. And you will kind of notice here how the bearings are so far back still. Always reach in here on these trifold ones and slide that bearing ahead all the way up to the end of this rail. And that just helps position everything exactly where it's supposed to be, and will stop your bearings from falling out down the road after it's loaded with everything. And then from that point, they should work perfect from then. And these are sweet little soft close, so as you get to that, they pull themselves shut. And as you can see here, as I said earlier, this is nice and flat. And his faceplate design will cover this entire piece here, so it is all nice and smooth, and basically will just look like regular drawers in a cabinet. These 2 holes are the ones for the drawer pulls. I haven't printed more of those yet, but I will when I'm finished up with this project. And then he does have the half faceplate that will go up to this halfway point and here. The other cool thing about his handle that he has, it is designed to take a 2x1 label, So if you want to separate your stuff via color or via PLA, PETG, etc., you can do that. Or if you want to do a white piece and laminate it, you could even use a dry erase marker, and then you can change what's on it over time without really having to do much. So anyway, that is the assembly step on this. I will show you how to do the assembly on two multiple pieces next here. I'm just going to grab another piece real quick and show you that. And then I'll show you the conversion of my old setup, mostly my old setup because I'm already halfway done with this setup. And then I'll give you a picture of the final conversion of everything. All right, back with you here. So I'm going to go ahead and show you this setup. Now, this is designed to stack on top. And there is little recesses in here where you can use a 1/2 inch, 3/8 tall like cabinet door bumper, and it will recess into the same notches on this one, on the top and bottom, which do allow it to kind of center itself on here, which is great for assembly, especially when you're moving the whole assembly onto another assembly, as far as locating it and pinning it into place. The bottom ones here are chamfered. The top ones are not. So this is designed to have your first one done, set the second one on top of it, and then screw into that. So very well thought out piece. I'm not ready to assemble it yet, but just kind of show you how it goes. And you screw that down, chamfered, so it sits nice and flush, won't catch any of your filament, etc. Now, when it comes to the side going sideways, same deal. This side here is not chamfered. This side here is. So it is definitely designed to assemble from left to right. So you would go into this one here, into the hole, and that kind of ties everything together. Also stiffens all this up. So if you have at least 2 rows, this becomes a very, very, very more rigid than it is just one stack up. So it is pretty cool. The other thing to keep in mind here, I prefer to use number 6 by 1/2 inch on these, as I do feel the 3/8 stick through just a little bit, and where it's at with the screw sticking down, I just feel you could catch your fingers on these. So 1/2 inch, the 5/8 work fine, but keep in mind, per your printer, you may have a little bit that sticks out the bottom, and with a sharp tip, probably not the best thing. Other thing to remember here, the bottom here, this one here, does have a hole in it also to tie together. Now it's hard to catch on camera, but this is a very largely recessed hole, so it does not take a special screw to get in here. So 3 screws, ties right into the other one, and that's basically it at tying it together. Do not load your filament before trying to assemble these pieces, the entire assemblies together, as you won't be able to do it. The other thing, don't have your drawers in it. It's a lot easier to assemble without your drawers. So pull the drawers out, lay them all out together, screw them up together. I have been putting all these bumpers into place onto the bottom, stacking it on first, not only for the locating as I put it together. I just feel like having that little locator pen basically will help with the whole assembly, whether it does or not. I feel like it does. It gives me a peace of mind, so that's what I do. Alright, so this is the first time I've really showed my setup to you guys at all. It is kind of a mess. I am very limited space to this little corner in my basement / living room. So what I had going on here is I had the filament all over the floor in this area in my stacked up. And then I had these little sweet little brackets that I mounted on my setup that I made here and they can house 2 to 3 rolls of filament on each one of these, stacked up on the inside and outside of this here. As you can see, I've already moved some of my filament off. Sorry about the cable here. I'm kind of doing this rudimentary here. And then I have a little bit of filament selection in the front. And I do have this little pulley system set up so I can run my K1 or my Ender 3 V3 off of any of these on the front and any of the spools down the side here as they just come up, and then it hits this roller and then it rolls through to the other one. I realize my only machine here is the one that's under recall and not supposed to be running, but hey, it worked great and I've been keeping an eye on my cable. It is actually printing more of the brackets for the shelving setup. I would be having this one run, but it is very noisy, so it's hard to video camera. Yeah. So anyway, here is kind of the drawer setup so far, as I've taken all of my PLA, some of my PLA out and put it there. So I'm going to go ahead and set up. I'm going to do 3 high, 2 wide for now, and I will add a 4th one here in a couple days, but 6 for now should take care of most of what I need, and we'll kind of get to the transformation here. All right, and we're back with you here with the updated, finished storage drawer assembly here. Again, like I say, I didn't really have much wall space to go with. So this here will actually hold 72 rolls of filament. And as you can see, it takes up a very, very small amount of space here. It is exactly 2 feet deep from outside of the wall. Now my floor is carpet here, so I did put these little spacers underneath because I was having an issue with it dragging on the carpet without them. So that did help. As you can see, you just grab the handle, they slide right out. About 9 rolls fit on here. This one here, I only have 8, but a 9th one does fit there just fine. The soft close is very nice, so that when you push it in, it just closes itself there, and able to organize the filament a bit better. I haven't currently gone through and actually organized it how I want yet, but I got it stuffed in there so I can organize everything else around it. One big thing I did notice as I was setting it up, I was hoping that I was going to be able to remove all of my boxes of filament into there, but when you take a new roll like this here that still has the shrink wrap on it, it does not all of them fit well and will get caught in here. So like the ELEGO ones, it will catch and kind of pull it. You can fit them there if you've already gotten rid of the box, or they come in a bulk. It's just a little bit more inconvenient to use. So if you don't use them a lot, you can always keep them, I would recommend, in the middle of the drawer. That way it doesn't catch on the back or the front if you're just normally getting the ones in the front, or a specified drawer for them, or one color, etc. Unless you want to open them up. Obviously you can't do that with TPU and stuff like that, but PLA, PETG, they should be fine if you just open them up and stuff them in there. Almost all of that there is black, and I have quite a bit of black open right now, so I have no reason to put it in there. But it has helped condense a lot of my mess here. And then the other thing, I was able to take all the filament I had off of these and clean this whole look up here. And then with these style of brackets, it's really nice. Say that I have, a big project lined up. I can put 3 or 4 or 5 of these up and stage my filament that I plan on using on these for the time being. I do have a Sunloop S4 filler dryer so I could take them from there, put them in my dryer setup, and then as soon as they're dried, put them up here, pending for the printers. Now this setup here still does allow for me to use my filaments on the front here. As you can see, this one is running that printer there still, and this one was running this printer here. The A1, obviously I have running off of the AMS. So anyway, that's a wrap for showing you how well the drawer system has cleaned up my build space. Alright, and that pretty well wraps it up for the filament storage solution that I built. And thanks to Robert Cowen for that design and putting it out there for the public to see. Hopefully it shows you guys how it can be utilized and how much space it can save versus other layouts, etc. Again, I will have all the files in the description below. I'll link his original files if you just want to download them from printables, or if you want to support my channel, I will add them all to my Maker World page and you can download them from there. So I can get little points there towards some more filament so that I can bring some more good builds and projects to you guys. Let me know in the comments below if you liked more of this build content versus the reviews and unboxings, impressions videos. I do have a couple more videos planned. TPU print and settings in the K1 Max. I do have the 200 hours into the Ender V3 video ready to make. I'm currently at 180 hours or so printed on it. And then I do have possibly another video lined up for the Bamboo A1 life of it during the recall. I have roughly probably around 1,200 or so hours on that machine since January 2nd when I received that. And then we're looking forward to a couple other ideas from you guys moving forward. So thanks for watching. Again, here at JAT, I thank you very much